guys, welcome back to Vlogmas episode, I think we're on episode 6 at this point. I don't even know anymore, but I'm so excited to be spending this time with you guys all today. I am going to be giving you guys 3 different recipes, doing a little bake with me. They're all holiday themed treats and goodies, and they're so fun because they're things that you can give to like your neighbors or your friends, even coworkers, for like little Christmas gifts for them. And I know that like holiday treats sometimes get a bad rap. Like people always talk about how they just get so much and it's always super unhealthy, and we're definitely adding to that stereotype today because they're not going to be super healthy at all, but they're just very nostalgic and they're super easy to make, and things that you could also make with your kids if you have children, or just do it on your own. Super easy either way. So I'm super excited to be spending all of this time with you guys today. And real quick, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, I am trying to reach 100 subscribers by Christmas. I would love it so much if you guys went ahead and subscribed to my channel. I promise I won't let you down. Anyway, all right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. All right, we're starting off with these cute hot cocoa bombs that are super easy to make. You're going to need 1 bag of chocolate chips, some hot cocoa packets, and a silicone mold. I started off with a pot on extremely low heat, and I poured in an entire bag of chocolate chips. Now, I like to use chocolate chips versus like baking chocolate because I feel like the chocolate gets more of a better consistency. It gets really runny, which is what I need for this particular hot cocoa bomb recipe. And I'm just going to take like a spatula, or you can even take a wooden spoon, and I just start to stir the chocolate. You don't want to leave it because you don't want it to burn, but you want it to get really to like a really runny consistency. That's kind of a perfect type of consistency that you need for this project. Then you're going to take your mold. I actually got my mold from, I think, Ross Dress for Less. Randomly they had one there, but you can get them online or from Walmart. And you're going to pour a pretty healthy amount of chocolate in each one of your molds. And then I just took a little frosting spatula and coated the entire mold, the walls of the mold, and you want to make sure that the bottom is coated as well. So just coat the whole thing, and you can try to get a healthy thick layer on the whole mold, but even if it's just a thin one, it will still work. You just want to make sure that there's no holes or gaps or anything. You want everything to be completely filled in. Then you're going to put your mold into the freezer, and you're going to let it sit for about 20 minutes or just however long it takes for it to completely freeze. So for me, I just put it in there for 20 minutes. And once it's done, you can just pop your little half molds out. Super easy to do. And it's really fun too if you do like fun little shapes. Some molds you can find that are really fun shapes, but I just have your basic circle one. And then I took half of the molds and I took an entire hot cocoa packet and dumped it in each of my molds. And I like to get the hot cocoa with the marshmallows in it because it's just a fun little added surprise. Then you're going to take your other half of your mold, and I just have a pan here, put it again on super low heat, and I'm going to get it, melt the rim of it really well, and then I'm going to fuse it, or try to fuse it, attach it to the other half of my hot cocoa bomb with the hot chocolate in it. And if you want to, you could actually take both sides of the hot cocoa bomb and get them all melty and then quickly put your hot cocoa in there and then fuse them together. I'm not too particular, so I just do one. And then I also take a toothpick and try to kind of like fuse it together a little bit more by like rubbing out the edges. However, it did not really work this time around. It made it look really messy, and so just do whatever you want. And then I wanted to drizzle some white chocolate over it. So I actually had this baking chocolate, and this baking chocolate, you guys, it did not get very runny. It just got really thick, unfortunately, and did not work. So I had to take a knife and try to recreate a drizzle effect to it, which didn't quite work. I mean, it didn't look awful, but just do whatever you want. There's so many cute ideas out there of how to decorate these and make these look super cute. You can also just leave them as plain chocolate balls. I mean, really, no one's going to complain. And to actually make your hot cocoa bomb, like how you would tell people to use it, is you get a really hot cup of either water or milk, and you place your hot cocoa bomb in it, and then you'll just let it melt, open up. And as you can see, there's fun little marshmallows, which are a fun little surprise. And then you just stir your hot cocoa bomb until everything melts, and then you have a delicious cup of hot chocolate. Next up, we have these peppermint meringues. For this, you're going to need egg whites, cream of tartar, sugar, chocolate chips, and peppermints. You're going to start off by preheating your oven to 200 degrees and just let that heat up while you make your meringue. You're going to need 4 egg whites. So you want to make sure that you do not get any yolk at all. So I did 1 egg white at a time, and I separate my egg whites from my yolk just by throwing them in the shell and kind of just going back and forth with it. You can use your hands, and then you're going to put your egg white in a bowl. I have a KitchenAid, so you can also do like just a regular like a hand mixer if you want, but you want to have 4 egg whites. And once you have your 4 egg whites, you're going to add in a fourth of a teaspoon of cream of tartar. This is going to react like acidically to the egg whites, and it will make a really great, it will help it really like froth up. So I put the whisk attachment on my KitchenAid, and then I start out really slow and gradually get it faster and faster, and I let it really whip up until it gets really frothy and super bubbly, and pretty much just, you want it to look totally white. And this took about 5 to 7 minutes, so just be prepared for a long time of mixing, which is why I would suggest if you have a KitchenAid, do that, so that way you're not having to hold your hand mixer, but you know, do what you can if you have with what you have. Next up, it's time for the sugar. Now the sugar is really important because you want to add it in gradually. You cannot add in just a cup of sugar and call it good. You need to add it in gradually. So you need 1 cup of sugar, and I just took it tablespoon by tablespoon. You can just hold the cup over and just gradually pour it in, but again, it's really, really important that you do it gradually. Don't just dump it all in at once. And then you're going to let it just really mix until it gets to this marshmallowy texture, and it can form a stiff peak. And by a stiff peak, I mean you can pull it up and it will just kind of sit there. So you really want to make sure it's at this right texture. And I cannot stress the importance of egg whites only, no yolk, making sure that you do gradual add in the sugar, because if you don't do it, it will not turn out this way. Trust me, I have done it the wrong way. So just trust me on this one. Then what I did is I went and added the mixture into a plastic bag because I did not have any piping bags, and I lined my pan with a, what is this called? Parchment paper. And I went and just tried to pipe little swirls. You can do whatever you want. If you have fun little tips, you can do like a star shape or whatever. But for me, I just did little swirls and piped those all onto my bag, or onto my pan. Now you're going to put your meringues in the oven, and you're going to let them cook for 1 hour. And after the hour is up, what I actually do is I turn the oven off and I leave them in the oven for another hour, so that way they completely dry in a warm environment. And they're going to have this really light, fluffy texture, almost like a packing peanut is kind of what they will feel like after you're done. And then what I wanted to do to add a little bit of pizzazz and a peppermint flavor to them was I crushed up all these peppermints with a garlic press, and then I went ahead and melted more chocolate chips, and I then took my meringues and I dipped them in the chocolate and then dipped them in the peppermint little mixture that I had, and then let them dry. And I forgot to mention, when you are cooking or baking your meringues, when you're at the step where you're adding in the sugar, you can also add in flavoring. So if you wanted to add in like a peppermint extract or an almond extract, that's where you would do that. I decided not to do that just because I decided not to, but you can really do whatever you want. I also decided to make some of them have a little drizzle effect, so I just took some chocolate syrup in one of these bottles and just drizzled it over the meringue. And I also added a little bit of cinnamon to them as well. And you can really, like, you have free reign to do whatever you want. So you can make these, you can decorate them however you want to decorate them. I think the drizzle effect looks really cute, or having them dipped looks really nice as well. Finally, we have our cinnamon knots. All the ingredients and measurements are going to be linked in the description because there's quite a few steps to this process. So I took a packet of dry yeast. As you can see, when I opened it, it accidentally sprayed everywhere, but I actually got most of it in the bowl, which was good. And then you're going to take some warm water and a little bit of sugar, and you'll stir this all up and you'll let it get really bubbly. Next, in a separate bowl, you're going to add in your dry milk, and this is different from evaporated milk, just so you all know, it's a different thing. Then you're going to add in your eggs, and I think I had 2 eggs here. And then as you can see, I have my like hook attachment on my KitchenAid. I ended up switching, and I used all the attachments for this process just because I couldn't figure out the one I liked. I think if you just did the paddle attachment until you added in your flour, then you'd be fine. Then I'm going to add in some melted butter. There's a close-up of my nails. Love that. Added in my melted butter, and I just let that mix for a little bit. I then went and added in my yeast mixture once it was all thick and bubbly, and I made sure to really get every single inch of that in, and then I began to mix all of that together as well. Now it's time to add your flour. You're going to be adding in a lot of flour for this, so just be prepared for how much flour you're going to add in. I think I added in 4 cups of flour initially, and then you're going to add in more and more, and the recipe actually says you can add up to 9 cups of flour, which I think I did add in total 9 cups, but you're just going to add it in one by one and just mix it all together until it gets to a dough consistency and that you can kind of dump it out on a table and begin to knead it. So just continue and be patient, add in as much flour as you need until you get to that right consistency. Once I finally got it to the right doughy consistency, I then sprinkled my countertop with some flour and then dumped the mixture out onto the countertop and began to knead it. You just want to knead it until it gets to like a nice, I don't want to call it silky, but a smooth texture, if that makes sense. So just knead it until it's just all formed together and gets, you know, a nice silky, smooth texture, I guess. Then you're going to let your dough rise for about an hour. You want it to double in size. So I just place mine in a bowl and then place a towel over top of it. And I usually just put it by my oven. And I just let that sit for anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. You want it to technically double in size. However, I never know if it's actually doubled in size. So just about an hour. Once your dough has doubled in size, you're going to add 2 sticks of butter. You're going to go ahead and melt those, and then you're going to start making your cinnamon sugar mixture. So you're going to have your brown sugar, regular sugar, and then you're also going to add in a 1/3 cup of cinnamon. Now, I will say I had a lot of this mixture left over, so you could probably half the recipe that I'm going to link, and if you need to add more, you can always make more. But once you have all those ingredients in the bowl, you're going to just mix them together till they get to a really good just cinnamon sugar mixture. Now it's time to preheat your oven. So you're going to do it to 375. I only put 350 on here before I realized I needed to heat it up more, but you want it to be 375. Then you're going to take some of your dough, and I think I might have honestly maybe added a little too much flour in there because it was a little rough, but that's okay. And you're gonna start by just rolling them out into these long strips because you're gonna be knotting the dough together. So if you need to take pieces apart as you go, that's okay. But you're gonna roll these out till they kind of get kind of long, and then you're going to dip them into the butter first and just kind of get it totally coated in butter. And then you're gonna put it in the cinnamon sugar mixture, and I kind of just drop it in there and then just throw the cinnamon sugar mixture over it. But you want it to be completely coated, and then I go and I literally tie it in a knot just like that. So this should make about 3 dozen cinnamon knots, and I think it did make about 3 dozen for me. So you're just gonna put them all on your pan, and then you're actually gonna want them to rise for about a half hour before you place them in the oven. So once you're done making your cinnamon knots, let them rise for a little bit, and then you can put them in the oven. Once you are ready to add your cinnamon knots to the oven, you're going to put them in for about 12 to 15 minutes. I ended up leaving 2 pans in there just so that way they could stay warm. And then you can go ahead and make some icing. I will show you guys in the description below my icing. I did not end up using it on this just because I didn't have time, but you can serve them warm. I would recommend serving them warm. They are super delicious, and if you are heating them up the next day, I would just pop them in the microwave for 1 minute, and then you're good to go. Alright guys, that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it and got some inspiration from some of these super yummy treats. They were so fun to make, really enjoyed making them, and everyone loved them. So I don't even have them anymore, they're already eaten, which is great. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, comment down below, subscribe to my channel, do all the things, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!